Shannon Griffith joins us.
I'm a little bit
red meat, baby. Red meat.
I'm Wagyu.
Kobayashi.
That's right.
I said at the break, or maybe it was right before we went to the break, where never has it been where we are looking to IU football as a respite from Indiana basketball, but that is truly the case today. John mentioned that someone had, or maybe it was you, that had predicted Indiana wins 8 games next year, which that may be a little optimistic, but that would not shock me because what I keep telling everybody, Shannon, is never before do I recall a new football coach having a schedule set up to his benefit better than Indiana's is set up for Curt Cignetti. 8 home, not only do they have 8 home games, they don't play Ohio State and Michigan until the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make an early trip to UCLA, but they're in a coaching change. You have Washington on the schedule, who is in a coaching change. And so I'm like, man, that's set up for very, very positive things for Indiana football.
Well, absolutely. 8 home games is, I mean, I've never seen a schedule where a team, I don't care.
Have you not paid attention to the SEC?
Well, yeah, but at any level, having 8 home games, 6, okay, yeah, I can see that, but yeah, it's made for him to make a big splash, get out on the right foot and build some momentum, as well as the fan base to support it and get to the stadium each and every Saturday and pack the house in some respects, because that's the whole thing. The other, the bad side to that is 8 home games. What will that do to your attendance if things go sideways? And I don't think, as we have talked before, that Coach Cignetti in his vision for what he wants to do with this program, getting off on the right foot at home, making the home stadium a place that's tough to come in and win at, starts by him getting things going each and every Saturday on these home games, because you cannot. I mean, I'd love to have 8 home games as a coach. I mean, for me, that would be, yeah. I mean, you're get into a comfort zone as it pertains to, sleeping in your own normal confines that you're used to, and you're not traveling, so you get a lot of positives there. But yeah, I could see them getting themselves in a bowl game.
Now I've already put the
you've already put
X on them. A bowl game should be minimum for this team next year, and that's hard to say for a team that you have not seen take a single snap,
right,
as a unit, and I get that. But just based on all of the positivity that is going on with the program, the very stable coaching staff, a very full roster, although it's not a roster of 5-star guys, it's not a roster of Power 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a roster, though, that is of manageable guys that can probably come together to accomplish some things. Do I expect them to upset Michigan and or Ohio State? No, not necessarily. Definitely not next season, but they don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to do that. So,
well, the best thing about it is too, and I think you've alluded to this, but then the amount of change in the coaching ranks in the Big Ten alone has been a topsy-turvy year, including IU. I mean, that was a change, but Michigan has a change. You've got Michigan State that's had a change. You've got Washington that's had a change, UCLA. And for some of these guys, that's the best time to try to get somebody is when you have a changeover in staff, because and not all of those places do you think that everything's going to sink for those guys that come in. So I know, and Michigan, I guess you can't really say too much about that change, because that was a change from within with Sharon Moore taking over. But you got to be excited with what you have in front of you, and Coach Cignetti and spring ball. I think you'll get a little bit of taste of what to expect from them, hoping that he has some of the practices open so people can take a little peek at what is on the field running around and getting an idea of the ability that's that he has and who's going to be the quarterback and things of that magnitude.
Without question. And that's something that Indiana has not had in football for a long, long time. Stability going into spring season. And that doesn't mean everything is solidified, because that's what spring season is about. So, right. And it would be the words of a fool to say that things are solidified before spring season of the first season. This is when things are going to kind of hash out, but there's at least a chart. We know what to kind of expect. It doesn't mean that, say, Tyler Cherry couldn't shock the world and become the QB1, but do I expect that? No. We know what we expect, and if that changes, hey, it's just a pleasant surprise. But at least there is some parameters of what to expect, where previously it was like, let's see what happens.
Right. Well, no, the best thing about spring ball is the competitiveness that it's going to create amongst the team at every position. Quarterback just happens to be the one that everybody looks to, because you've got four battling to be that number one guy. You got a wide receiver room that's got a lot of talent in hopes that they can keep as many of them happy there throughout this, not just the spring, but going into next season. The hard thing right now is you're not quite sure what's going on right now, because everything's now kind of closed down with the recruiting over, and the team in itself is fully engaged in their off-season training program. Coaches are fully locked in onto what they're going to do this spring, what their implementation is going to be, how that's going to be handled. And you don't get a very good glimpse of that through this part of the time. But after that spring break period, and you come back and start their spring ball, hopefully you'll start to see some things that you can, feel good about. And I feel good about the quarterback position. And I think in a long while, I'm not sure you could say that.
Yeah. And for mostly, I would understand fans' hesitancy with the fact that this team has been made up with a lot of quote unquote mid-major talent, but you can look across football and college basketball and see how many guys that have successfully integrated into very successful programs and are a very key ingredient to those current key ingredient to those successful programs. And I would expect that to be no different next fall.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that with IU and what is in front of them, there's a lot of things that are going to happen this spring that's going to set the stage for coming back in August. Now, I've said before, I don't think you can sit here and say that you're going to, O'Rourke is the number one guy coming out of spring at quarterback or whoever. Now, these these kids that are coming in from JMU and, some of these other places, in today's game of college football, you could almost throw them all together and shuffle them out, because there's a lot of good players now that are playing at these other levels that maybe have gotten overlooked. And for whatever reason, they weren't able to get a big time offer. But some of these guys that he's brought from JMU, I do think they'll be okay from the standpoint if they've got experience playing and they're a little bit older. And I do think they'll add depth as well as competitiveness in each and every room that he's got a kid from JMU or another, Charlotte or somewhere like that coming in with him here to IU. But I've seen so many 5-star kids go out and bust as well as anything. And I've seen 2-star kids that have gone on to become big time players and, eventually make it in the NFL and do quite well. But the proof will be in the pudding, I guess you could say. And we won't know that for sure until they line up for their first game to see what they've gotten on the table.
Absolutely. And looking forward to seeing the first game to see if they're able to hit the ground running or if they're going to need those first 2 games to really loosen things up, as many teams, many programs. I would expect that to be the case for everything being so new. But with Curt Cignetti, the little that I know about Curt Cignetti already, I don't think that's what he's going to want. I think he's going to want mid-season form at the start of the season.
Yeah, his expectations are definitely higher. And he's very out front and boisterous about that. He's not looking for any excuses as to why or why not they may not be at a certain level come week 1. He wants them at the level that it needs to win, even if that means not, winning ugly. But I think the whole thing is we're sitting here trying to think, okay, what is the realistic expectation? And you still come back to him and what he says. The realistic expectation is each and every Saturday you play to win. You don't play for moral victories. You don't play, you don't play for this or that. You play for one thing. That's to win, because that's what you're actually measured against. And at the end of every game, there's a winner and a loser. And the losing mindset that's been at Indiana, whether they've lost 6 games by X amount of points or less, he wants those to turn into W's, and he believes he's got the ingredient to make that happen, as he proved at James Madison a year ago. But I think you're right, and his expectation is much higher than probably anybody's would be in terms of us sitting on the sideline trying to evaluate that exact concept.